How do we define the average speed of an object in motion? From our last video, we note that the average speed is the total distance traveled over the total time it takes to cover that distance. For instance, if the total distance is 20 kilometers and the total time the object takes to cover this distance is 4 hours, then the average speed is 5 kilometers per hour. Consider an object moving in a straight line from point A to point B. Now, if I ask you to tell me its average speed between A and B, then how would you measure it? Well, in order to measure the average speed, you will first need to measure the total distance that the object covers, that is, the distance between A and B. You will also need to measure the total time the object takes to cover this distance. Now, it is easy to measure the distance if it's along a straight line. It's even more easy if this distance is shorter in length. You can take a ruler or a measuring tape to measure the distance. But what if this path is not a straight line? What if it's curved, something like this? Well, if the distance traveled, that is, if the length of the curve is small, then you can take the help of a rope or a thread to measure this distance. You have already learned how to do that in your earlier grades. Just keep one end of the thread at the point A, and by holding the thread firmly in your hand, keep tracing smaller paths along the complete distance. Mark the point on the thread at B. Finally, stretch this part of the thread along a meter scale or any appropriate measuring device to get the required value. So this is how you can measure the distance of the curved path. Now, how do we measure the time taken by the object to move from point A to point B? It's simple. We just measure total time taken using a stopwatch. So suppose our object starts from point A and it covers the total distance of 2 meters to reach B in 4 seconds. What will be the average speed? Yes, it is 0.5 meters per second. So now we can tell the average speed of any moving object. But in which situations would we want to know the average speed? Suppose you have to reach point B from point A in 15 minutes. And the only way to reach there is by foot. You know the total distance that you have to travel to reach B. It is 500 meters. So at what minimum average speed should you move in order to reach the destination on time? This is the minimum average speed that you should move at. This is just one of the many examples where we need to know the average speed of an object. Can you think of more such examples? Share your answers in the comments section below.